Hi, I'm Steve with the Pacific Northwest Boating Safety and Education Group. We're a group of experienced boaters who do what we can to share information about boating and about how to be safer when you're doing it. The topic I'm going to cover today is towing. What do you do when you break down and your engine doesn't run, and how are you going to get home? I would say that most experienced boaters have ended up either being towed or doing towing at some point or another in their boating career. I know personally I have been towed several times, and I have also towed other boats several times. A lot of people have different ideas of who's going to tow them. Is somebody just going to magically show up and tow them? Do they have a plan in place? The other thing is, how are you going to call for help? Are you going to rely on your cell phone, or do you have a VHF radio on board? You can have a nice built-in model with an external antenna, or you can have a handheld. The handhelds are nice, but they don't always have the range that a nice built-in one will have. Or are you going to rely on your cell phone? Are you going to call for help from your cell phone? Where you're going boating, will you be out of cell phone range? Those are all questions you need to consider when you're planning how you're going to get a tow. Well, here I am towing a boat. Broke down near Sandy Point a couple years ago, and the boat that I'm towing with had three engines on it, two primary outboards and a secondary kicker. In fact, on that boat, I had one of the outboards break down on me one time. The oil pump went out and it shut down. I was able to get home fine with just a single engine. It took me a little bit longer, but if this was in a boat that only had a single engine on board, I would have been out of luck and I would have had to been towed home. So the question comes up, what are you going to do when you need to be towed? Well, a lot of people think, well, the Coast Guard will tow me. And I don't know how many times that I've been out in the boat in late August, and you'll hear someone on Channel 16 hailing the Coast Guard and saying that they're broken down and they need a tow. And the Coast Guard will ask, well, is everybody okay? Are you sinking? Are you in danger of running aground? Something like that. And if the answer to that is no, usually they respond with, okay, would you like us to call a towing company for you? There's a number of different towing companies they can call depending on the location. The thing is, with towing companies, they usually have different packages where you can have, you prepay like an annual fee and you're covered for towing, sort of like you'd have like AAA for your car on the road. That's one of those things that I don't have AAA for my car on the road, and I know if I get stuck, I can pay a towing company to tow my car to wherever I need to be, and towing companies in town for your car are not going to be that expensive. But it can get expensive real quick on the water when you're doing towing. You call the Coast Guard. If there's nobody immediately in danger, they're typically going to refer you to a towing company, and you'll end up with somebody like this, with Boat US or Towboat US as they're called, or Sea Tow, or maybe a private company. Like here's one in Blaine that does towing. If we look here, these guys, you can call them up and they will charge you $299 an hour and 1.5 times that after hours and twice that after dark. They'll get you home, and it might cost you a couple grand to do that there. But the other thing is these Boat US and Sea Tow. I've heard good things about Sea Tow, and I've heard good things about Boat US. And not a salesperson here for this by any means. Sea Tow, very similar. I've never used them, but you'd want to see what is the best for your specific area and what areas do these all cover and what kind of things are covered. And the thing is with boat towing is you can get stuck in a bind where you may not have an option other than paying a pile of money for a towing service to tow you back, even for a short distance. Keep in mind, if you don't prepay for one of these annual plans, oftentimes you end up in a position where you're paying not just for the time it takes to get you back to the dock, but the time it takes for that towing company to get from their home port to where you're at and then tow you back to your dock and then return to their home port. Towing, and it's one of those things that I see quite often gets overlooked, and there's a lot of reasons that you might break down, from losing a propeller or breaking a propeller to engine failure or other things like that. All right, well, this is Steve with the Boating Safety and Education Group, and just want to make sure that if you're going to be out there boating, that you have a plan and you know what you're going to do if you need a tow. And whether that's one of these paid services, or whether you've got friends lined up to tow you, or whether you've got whatever that plan is, just make sure you're not going to be in a position where you're stuck and you can't get home when your boat breaks down. All right, have a great day.